Okay, so I think let's start the webinar. I'd like to welcome all of you to the TADHack webinar on CPaaS, enabling the TADHack and the global telecom ecosystem. Today with us is Alan Quayle, who's actually the founder of TADS, and I have known Alan for many years. Good morning, Alan.
Thank you so much for asking me to join, Dinesh. I hope you're well.
Yes, everybody's. Thank you so much, and happy Labour's Day. I know it's a holiday, and thank you for taking the time.
No problem at all.
Right, super. So to kick off the session, what I like to do is to kind of give a little bit of about Sendit Mobile. Our Sendit Mobile vision is to actually co-create the future. So we do this by bringing all stakeholders together. We listen to our customers to find what their pain points. We also listen to our developers to find what their pain points and of connecting to telecom infrastructures. And this we have been doing for the last many years, building API platform that exposes the telco APIs, that makes it easy for developers to be able to really bring innovative telecom solutions to the market. And from the inceptions of TADHack, in 2014, we have enabled a global telecom infrastructure from APIs and now from the CPaaS. So with that, I think I like maybe Alan, maybe you can explain a little bit about that TADHack, the history of TADHack, and how it had evolved over the years. That will be useful for kind of set the stage for today's discussion.
Absolutely. No problem at all, Dinesh. And yes, it's over a decade we've known each other. We first met in Singapore many years ago. I'll just say over a decade. Once you get into double figures, there's just no need to go into too specifics. But let me start by explaining TADHack in one sentence. So it's a hackathon that helps people learn about the latest internet, IT, and telecom technologies, and use those technologies to solve problems that matter around the world. So that, in essence, I know it's high level, but let's start high level and then let's start digging down. Now, when we founded TADHack, the TAD part of it, TAD, stood for Telecom Application Development. We were all working, as you said, Dinesh, in the telecom API space, and we were seeing it having a massive impact on people's lives. And we wanted to help extend, that understanding, that learning around the world. And that was one of the reasons that we created TADHack, is just to help people understand how powerful telecom APIs are in solving real world problems. And what's happened over the intervening 5 years is TADHack's become a group of people that want to promote this democratization of technologies, because that's what APIs do, is they make it very easy to be able to access quite complex services. So very much we wanted, there's a group of people in many countries, 30, 40 countries all around the world, wanting to help people use programmable telecoms to solve problems that matter to them. Now, one of the other things we've done with TADHack is we've really stated from the start that TADHack is for everyone. So we encourage diversity. You don't have to be a coder to take part. We have people from all walks of life who join together to come together over one weekend to learn, share, code, and create around telecom app development. So that hopefully gives you a little bit of background and how we've evolved into what we are today, Dinesh.
Correct. I think you very clearly explained how it had evolved and how it had really kind of created a lot of opportunity for developers. And I think we have a multitude of stories that actually happened in Sri Lanka, where many startups actually have come out of TADHack that happened. I think some of them are kind of the Offer Hut became kind of a thriving company. We had digital irrigation automation that had actually become an IoT company and doing very well in in today's. That's some of the stories that we have maybe from Sri Lanka, and I'm sure that we will see some of that happening in Bangladesh also with the
Absolutely.
years that we have been doing. Alan, maybe you can, if you can shed a little light on how it had actually from the global examples and the global experience in a
Yep.
similar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just one of the things that, I do want to just emphasize, because telecoms is very important, and that's our history. But since our inception back in 2014, we've had many different technologies mashed up. So even back in 2014, we had Bitcoin, IoT, speech recognition. So it's not just been about telecom technologies. As I said, telecom's the root, but there's very much we encourage and want to see mashups with other technologies. So as you mentioned, 2015, I think, was an amazing year for TADHack Sri Lanka. The success that has been created with the digital irrigation project in making a difference to people's lives in Sri Lanka is, I use it often as an example of just how big an impact TADHack can have. In 2016, we had Carrefour. Now, Carrefour is a big supermarket chain, and they were a sponsor. And this year, we have Status. Now, they are an Ethereum OS. Now, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but this is a great opportunity for people taking part in TADHack to not only hack on telecom technologies, on CPaaS, but also to look at mashing that up with other technologies. Now, Ethereum is an important blockchain, which is creating the next generation of the web. And that's one of the things we really want people to get a lot of value from in taking part in TADHack, is learning new and important technologies. So when we say TAD today, it really has evolved into technology application development. Telecom remains the root, but we want to have as many branches as possible. So anybody taking part in TADHack has a lot of value. Now, I apologize. I just wanted to, just emphasize that point. Looking at some, and we've had hundreds of hacks over the years. I'm just picking on a few just to give people a flavor of the diversity of help and support that comes from taking part in TADHack. So the first one I'll pick on is Karel. He was working in Orange, a big telco, and he had an idea that voicemail can become your assistant, an agent to help you run your life and business. And he did a hack actually, it was a mini we ran in Paris back in 2015. And from that, he realized that, it was an interesting idea. He received a lot of support, and he's gone off and he's created a company called Voxist that is taking that service idea. He's made it a reality. He's now launched it, and he's got customers. Now, I won't pretend this is an easy life he's chosen, but it's a great example of how TADHack enabled him to test his idea, receive support, and now is building a great company. Another example, again, I focus on the people because that really is a very important aspect of TADHack. It's just the people that come together, is Thomas Howe. Now, he's a thought leader in the industry, and he's done amazing work over the years. And since the start of TADHack, he's shown the power of programmable telecoms. His first ever hack was showing how SMS can help connect refugees. Now, he's got his own company, 10-Digit, but TADHack for him provides a great platform to show just the power of programmable telecoms. Last year, in the London location of TADHack, Rob Pickering and his team created a very interesting hack called Polite.ai. Now, this is an initiative to make online discourse more civilized. This is using a AI engine to basically sort of pick up and warn people when they're being abusive. And it's online discourse is just it's not the prettiest, and I think it's a great idea. And again, the team were very motivated in trying to make this work. So, and they've carried on with that initiative afterwards. So there's another example, people coming together to solve a problem that matters to them. And just one more, I mean, again, I could bore you to death with all the examples. Now, Sasha worked for one of TADHack's sponsors back in 2014. Now, he left that company and he went to University College London to study for a master's. Now, he and his friend took part in TADHack, and they did a hack called Big Bro. It's actually quite similar to Polite.ai, but it was focused on using Cisco Spark. Now, one of Sasha's life objectives was to go over and live and work in the Bay Area. Now, he actually today is working as a developer evangelist for Cisco in the Bay Area. And he attributes his ability to make that leap from being based over in Belgium, working for a particular company, and now fulfilling one of his life objectives to the hack he created using Cisco Spark. So it's just to give you some examples of companies being founded, people coming together, running initiatives that really matter to them, and people making a difference in people's lives. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a flavor of some of the things that have happened from people being involved in TADHack.
Correct. And I think the key here, Alan, is actually really it's all about people and being able to really touch the lives of people that
Exactly.
really bring innovation into not only to their own companies, but we have seen the impact of that economical impact even for countries and even for regions, that
Yes.
can really bring something. So I think that's the most wonderful part of TADHack I think we have seen over the years,
Absolutely, Dinesh.
Yeah. So at the just on the at the core of the telecom ecosystem, the TADHack is
Yep.
is about CPaaS, where we actually build the exposed APIs, and it means to help telecom operators and developers. If you kind of look at that and say, how do you think the operators and developers can actually come together, if you had to kind of talk about it from a messaging or to kind of tell, what are some of the success stories that can really bring this out, how would you kind of define that, or what kind
right.
of
I understand. So it sort of reminds me, when we were talking in Singapore when we first met, and we were talking about telecom APIs. Now, there were other acronyms that sort of telcos were looking to deploy. But we both had the same vision. We shared that this is very powerful. It enables vastly greater ecosystem of people to solve problems using APIs. And here we are. It's been 10 years, but just one company, Twilio, is now worth $8 billion. Now that's just one company, and they did it over the past 10 years. There's an example of the value that's being created. Now, personally, CPaaS, communication platform as a service, I sort of dislike it a little bit. I prefer programmable telecoms because it's so much more than APIs, and it doesn't have to be cloud-based. I think one of the things that when we look at IdeaMart and its success is it offers more than APIs. It offers very simple web forms, graphical user interfaces. So it's not just a few programmers that can use these capabilities. Now, an owner of a small business can get in and start using messaging for communicating with their customers. So that's why I look at it in its broader sense in terms of programmable telecoms, but this is now revolutionizing the telecoms industry, and in particular, the enterprise telecoms industry. There are companies, for example, like TalkDesk that have been founded on top of telecom APIs that are revolutionizing the call center business. The whole of the old stodgy PBX business is being revolutionized by what's called UCaaS, Unified Communication as a Service, or virtual PBX, if you want. And, enterprise sort of telecoms, that's like, $250 billion. So these are big numbers. And we're seeing many new names. TalkDesk didn't exist 10 years ago. So, this, I think, is very exciting that we've got, a big industry that's being revolutionized, and many of the TADHack sponsors are leading that revolution. Senate Mobile being one. And of course, for this year, we also have VoIP Innovations Days as examples of other companies that 10 years ago maybe didn't exist and are making a difference. Now, telcos can't ignore programmable telecoms. CPaaS. This is a movement that's changing their business. But to be successful, they need to change their suppliers and the people they talk to. This is the biggest challenge they face. Now, I've written about the history of CPaaS, the struggles operators have had. We have a recent example of some of the struggles where Deutsche Telekom just closed down IMA. That's spelled I, 3 M's, then an R. Unfortunately, and that was built on a CPaaS, but that's just closed down. Now, again, if you look at my weblog, just search Alan Quayle, you'll find my blog quite easily. I talked about at length IdeaMart because I consider them to be the gold standard in telecom CPaaS success. Now, as always, like with happy families, with success, there's lots of things that have been done right. Some of the things that I think have created IdeaMart's success, and we're seeing now with the BD apps over in Bangladesh. Some of those aspects of, for example, partner selection. So selecting, not like a Huawei or an Ericsson or a Nokia or an Accenture or some big company, but selecting a partner that really has helped, not just in the technology, but in the complete solution that's necessary. Also from the telco commitment. This is a multi-year commitment. This isn't something that happens quickly. It takes time because you're asking people to change behaviors. Also, GUIs, I've talked about that before. It's not just APIs, it's having those simple web forms. Also, country-wide engagement. That's, again, this is why it's called TADHack Sri Lanka, because it's across Sri Lanka. And it enables you to build this multitude of solutions. Now, of course, as I mentioned, there's many, many more things that enable this success. But I think, I always use IdeaMart as an example, building something that's right for Sri Lanka. And we're now seeing something being built that's right for Bangladesh. And I'm really excited to see what comes out of TADHack Sri Lanka, TADHack Bangladesh in 2018.
Correct. And I think, Alan, you especially mentioned, I think it's all about making it localized,
yes.
But at the same time, creating that ecosystem, working with the developers, being able to create kind of a way that, where you can bring innovation to market faster and trying out and being able to create value from that, which the operators, the telcos actually can benefit immensely in the process.
Exactly.
Right. So I think we have actually seen IdeaMart over the years, have grown, and we have a very thriving developer ecosystem. We have a thriving ability to kind of bring innovation to market, and we see Zenit Mobile is seeing the same thing actually happening. We have been involved with the Bangladesh BD apps for the last 24 months. We have seen a very similar uptake is happening, and the secret for that, I think you mentioned, is the commitment from the operator as a long term. It's not
yes.
Just a 1 quarter, 2 quarter commitment. It's a long term commitment, and if they really make that commitment and stick with that, you can actually see very, very interesting results over the years. So that's had been our experience, and where we see a great potential for both for developers, well as for the telecom operators, and overall as an ecosystem from the telco.
For the whole of the country, I think this is the thing that it was to have one message. Telcos are heading towards being utility ISPs, internet service providers, and the network of last resort, that is for voice messaging. What I'm seeing from businesses today is they're responding to what the customers are asking for, to be communicated with on WhatsApp, Line, Facebook, LinkedIn, smartphone push messaging, web chat before the PSTN. So these traditional sort of revenues are and will continue to be under attack. So what I think is important is that every telco needs to find their version of Idea Mart. Now, we can call it a CPaaS, we can call it a developer ecosystem. I look at it, it's a countrywide problem-solving community. You've created something in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, where you've got a diverse community of people that are solving problems that matter in that country, that are making a difference in that country. And that community is going to be an important leg of a telco's long-term survival strategy beyond being just a utility ISP. So from my perspective, strategically, what's being created here is going to be essential for enabling telcos to maintain the margins that they've grown used to beyond a utility business model.
Correct. I think so. So really, from a from a messaging, I think for telcos, it's actually a missed opportunity if they really don't embrace this. I think.
Exactly.
Do you think it's too late for some of them, or you think it's still there?
Well, I think in sort of developing markets, they're in a better situation than some of the telcos that are in more mature markets. Because they've got a hard, it's going to be tougher for them to be able to create this, simply because other players have come in and created that countrywide problem-solving community. So, they'll have to find a different sort of position in the ecosystem. But what I see in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, and can be played out around the world, in, sort of throughout South America, throughout, Asia, I think, this, community of which, the telco is an important piece. They're sort of, as I said, they're the root, because telecom is about connecting people and things. So that will always be sort of the root of this community, but then it branches off into many other aspects, both of technology and in business. And by solving those local problems, by using the technology that is homegrown, that isn't just over in the Bay Area, they keep more of the wealth within the country as well. So I think it's from not just a strategic perspective for a telco, but for a country's continued wealth in terms of creating its own innovations, keeping as much of the sort of wealth that's created through innovation within the country. This, what we're trying to create here, and what you've created in Sri Lanka and are creating in Bangladesh, are important from a countrywide economy perspective.
Correct. So coming back, Alan, what's new in this year's TADHack, and what do you see as the TADHack Global happening this year? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. So we have a new branch in the TADHack tree, which is Ethereum. Now, Ethereum is one of the most popular open source public blockchain-based distributed computing platforms. Now, I know that's a lot of a description, but what it is, it's an OS for creating decentralized apps. Now, if you go to my weblog, or you go to the TADHack, blog.tadhack.com, you can see I've got some articles there about status, about the importance of Ethereum. Now, if you go on my sort of personal blog, which is alanquayle.com/blog, you'll see one of the rants. I have many rants, but one of them is it's all about the services. And dApps, decentralized apps, are an important new category of services. So Status is an open source Ethereum-based app. So from your phone, you can access it, and you can chat, transact, and play with all these decentralized apps. And what we're hoping at TADHack is people can create some interesting decentralized apps that solve problems that matter all around the world. So, for the TADHack community, this is a great way to learn new things, but also in learning about Ethereum, which is going to create the next generation of the web, it's a great way to solve problems that matter. Now, looking out to the future with TADHack, really, if I was to be frank, we don't have a plan for the future. We simply react to what the community says to us. We listen every year to people's feedback, and we try to improve. in Western markets, I'll be frank, hackathons are currently not viewed that positively. Unless of course you're a big internet brand and you're giving away stuff for free. So, this, I think TADHack has endured while we've seen many other hackathons come and go because we focused on doing things differently. So we've always had this global cooperation from the start. We were, around the world. It's a global cooperation, but it's a local focus. So with TADHack, we have these great technologies. We're helping people learn about them, and most importantly, making a difference in the country that people live. We've supported diversity. We've realized that it's not just about coders, it's everybody, and helping as many people as possible understand what these technologies can do and the problems that they can solve. And a lot of hackathons are like, use our technology and do this exercise and woohoo, isn't it great? Well, it's harder with TADHack because, we have some technologies, absolutely, we have those, we push them, year after year. But we ask people to look more broadly at, where they live, where they work, and look at problems they see in their everyday life. And then to look at how those technologies can solve those. So very much, it is harder because it's not just a simple exercise. We're asking people to think about problems they see in their everyday life. But again, year after year, we see some amazing hacks created that are then taken forward and make a difference in people's lives. And from the start, we've kept it lean. TADHack is just basically a bit of my time and then an amazing group of people all around the world that are creating these amazing events. And I think, what I'd like to say, is both thank you, Dinesh, but also thank you to the Synid Mobile team, to the Idea Mart team, and to the people of Sri Lanka in creating the world's most successful countrywide problem-solving community. My hope is more and more telcos around the world copy the success that we're seeing both in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. So fingers crossed, what we're seeing here in 5 years' time, we'll see popping up in Malaysia, Indonesia, India, throughout Africa. So fingers crossed, what we're starting here becomes something that we see all around the world.
Yes, thank you very much, Alan. I think we have to give a lot of credit to you. As you mentioned, we were talking in Singapore, and actually we have made it a reality that has actually come together. So actually we are very excited to be part of TADHack and to run it in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh this year, and partnering with Idea Mart, which had been a great team that had really helped the develop ecosystem in Sri Lanka, and also BD Apps done the same thing in Bangladesh. So we are actually really excited about TADHack and actually being a part of it and really building the next, I call the next disruptive innovation, as well as the next disruptive company that can really come and benefit out of it, both for their own as well as for the country.
Exactly.
So Alan, thank you very much for joining us today.
You're welcome, Dinesh. Thank you.